Hi everyone and welcome to my January blog post. Now I'm hoping that you all can see me okay. It's a little bit dark in my therapy room tonight, but unfortunately I can't move the laptop away from where it needs to be. So I'm just going to go with it and hopefully you can make me out enough to see me and to kind of understand what I'm saying. Now, I do know that we've all just had a very alternative Christmas and I hope that it's been as good as it can be for everybody. And I do want to wish everyone a very happy new year. I know that when we're talking about the subject of anxiety, people are not necessarily in a good place. But I think from a personal perspective, I would feel that it's not right for me not to wish everyone a happy and healthy new year. So I would like to say that anyway. Now, January's blog, what I want to talk about is acceptance, and within acceptance comes kind of working with anxiety and working and understanding that we're working within a process. So I'll try and explain, but yeah, acceptance. I often hear oh gosh, people say, you know, I've just got to accept it. I've just got to accept the anxiety and kind of, you know, be okay with it. And once I'm okay with it, it'll be okay. But I often listen to that and I think, how do you accept something that you absolutely fear, really don't enjoy in any way, shape or form, and really don't want to have? How does anybody go, right, okay, I'm going to accept it, I'm going to really like it now? Because I'm not sure that can be done. So I've always found acceptance a really kind of subjective word. I'm not really sure how that works. Although when I was in my times of kind of severe anxiety, I did the self same thing. I was like, right, okay, I've got to just accept these feelings. I've got to accept them. And then when I accept them, maybe somehow I'll be able to live with them and work with them a little bit more. So I've changed this just slightly, and this is my take on things. So perhaps I can't accept it. Perhaps I'm finding that really hard and I'm getting really annoyed with myself because I should be accepting this anxiety and why can't I? And the fact is I can't accept something that I literally feel is giving me no quality of life whatsoever. So what I can do is accept where I am in the process. Now, bear with me. I believe that everyone has their own process and it's quite individual. And I would say that even though I don't wish anyone to be anxious, everybody is exactly where they need to be in their process. So this is a learning process. This is a self-development process. So where you are is exactly where you need to be. So, for example, I've had sometimes people might say to me, if I'd have known this a year ago, perhaps I wouldn't have suffered quite as much then as I did. And I've reflected on that and thought, but would you? Because maybe a year ago, you wouldn't have been in a place where you could have understood that. So I'm hoping you can see what I mean by process. And actually, so from you being anxious to you working to a quality of life where this anxiety is not severely impacting on you every day is a learning process. And it's individual to you. It's really, really important, is that. And so what we're doing is we're noticing that there is a process, and we're noticing that where we are is the right place to be, because this is where we're kind of learning. So being really honest with you, there's so many things that happened to me during my own journey. So many people I met, so many people I asked to support me. And sometimes at the time, they might have said something to me and I might have thought, oh my gosh, that's really harsh. And I really don't understand what you're saying there. And then it might have taken me, you know, a period of time where I've then gone, hang on a minute. And something's happened then and I've gone, that's what that meant. I get it now. And that's what I mean by process. It's really, really important. So we don't have to accept it, but what we can accept is that we can work with where we are in the process. So I can accept that this is where I'm at and this is how I'm going to move forward. So it's a bit like, I call it riding the wave. So there's not, anxiety recovery doesn't go A, B, it goes like this. So it's almost like what I can do is I can work with where I am and I can try and ride the wave. I can work with that. So I can on a good day, I can grab it with both hands and take it. On a bad day or a day where I feel more anxious, I can literally step back and put one foot in front of the other. So what do I need to do today? Right, okay, so that's all I'm going to do. I'm going to put one foot in front of the other and I'm going to work through today. And then the next better day I have, I'm going to grab with both hands. So we've decided that perhaps acceptance is a difficult word, and it's also, what we can do is recognise we've got a process and we can work with the anxiety within that process. Now what I'm going to do is kind of give you an example of how you might work with that. And I'm going to use just a fictitious example. So, but this is something that I went through. So what I found was that my anxiety manifested in different ways as I went along the process. So it might have been that there was a period of time where I was really worried about going to work. And then there might be a period of time where I was really worried about sleeping and I couldn't. So each time I seemed to get over a fear, what would happen is it would manifest in a different way until such a time as I'd kind of worked out what was going on in the wider process and I could see how the anxiety was manifesting. I wasn't quite as scared of that. I will talk about that in another blog actually. But let's go with a true story. So I went through a period of time where I was really, really struggling to sleep, and in particular worrying about waking up in the middle of the night, because what happened if I woke up in the middle of the night was it felt really lonely because my family was asleep, and I'd kind of wake up in a panic and I'd be like, oh my God, what am I going to do now? I'm going to be alone with these thoughts. My family's asleep. I don't know what on earth to do. I'm going to be on my own. And that was like the worst thing ever, to be alone with the thoughts at that time. So I was really scared about being on my own and it being in the middle of the night, and I didn't know what to do. So through the day, I think the difference was that I could kind of try and distract myself. So if I felt really anxious, I could, I don't know, get the vacuum out and vac the house like mad until it passed, or I could do something. But at night, I was a little bit more at mercy of the anxiety building while I was asleep, and then kind of waking up and in a panic and not being able to kind of do anything about it, and really, really struggling with that. So I was like, right, okay. And I started to get into the cycle of dreading going to bed and getting really, really panicked. And what was happening was I was focusing on that. So that became bigger. So it was like, oh my God, it's going to be nighttime soon. I'm going to have to go to sleep. What if I wake up? Oh my God. And I was anticipating, which is a really key part of anxiety, is to anticipate when I'm going to feel anxious. So it's a vicious circle. It just goes round and round and round. So I was like, right, okay. So what I'm doing is not working. You know, it's not having the effect of helping me to sleep. It's kind of just getting worse. So I need to think about how I can do something differently. So I need to react and respond to my anxiety in a different way to what I was doing before. So let's take sleep. So what happened was I was like, right, okay, sleep. Sleep's a really bad problem. I'm getting really worked up. I'm focusing on it, and that's making it worse. So what can I do differently? Right, okay, I can have a plan. I can have an A and I can have a B, and I'm going to work out how I can work with this now. So what I'm doing is I'm accepting that it's happening. I'm not accepting it because I don't like it, but I'm accepting that it's happening to me. And I've decided that I'm going to try and work with it. So I'm going to try and find a way to work with sleep. And all this was born, I'll just break off slightly, but all this was born because I can remember years ago, I'm hoping you understand what I say here, having a really anxious moment. And I was talking to my dad at the time. And my dad's, as far as I'm concerned, I have no memory of my dad having anxiety or knowing about it or anything. So he kind of took things on face value. And so I said to my dad, I'm really, really struggling. I can't even, find the motivation to wash up. And he answered just ad hoc. And he went, well, you know what? The washing up's not going to sit there forever, is it? It's going to get done at some point. And when he said that, I thought, oh my God, that's really helped me, because it's led me to see this is not a stagnant process where for the rest of my life, sleep is going to be a problem. So perhaps it's about working with it while I'm going through that part of the process. And Dad kind of really helped me at that point without realising it, because it wasn't even about anxiety, wasn't it? It kind of was, but in a roundabout way. But the answer was, well, do you know what? Washing up was not going to be there in 5 years' time, full of washing up. It's going to get done. So take the pressure off. Let's work out a way in which we can kind of work with it. So sleep. Plan A. The plan A was lie in bed with the feeling, read something that's not going to heighten feelings in any way, because that was another worry for me. If I'd have got up and watched a film and the film was very emotional, my emotions were already all over the place. I was a little bit worried about making that worse. So it was like, right, okay, I'm going to read, probably sounds quite funny now actually, but I'm going to read a gardening magazine, even though I have no interest in gardening. But it was like, what can I read that's really calming, that's going to help me? And I'm aware that feeling is going to be really, really exasperated when I first wake up. So am I capable of laying there and reading something that's really comfortable, that's not going to heighten my emotions, and try and lay through it and go back to sleep? That was plan A. Plan B was, could I get up and clean out the kitchen cupboards? And that was a slight problem, because a part of me in my head was going, oh my God, that's absolutely crazy. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. This is not normal. In inverted commas, I don't know what normal is, but this is not normal. You're going to clean out the cupboards at 2 o'clock in the morning when all your family's asleep. Are you okay? And that sort of stigma of what that meant put me off, because I could almost tell myself there was something wrong with me. And I thought, do you know what? I'm going to have to abandon this. I'm going to have to send that out the window, because what I'm doing is I'm working with this process while I can. So for the moment, I'm going to get up and clean the kitchen cupboards. And I'm not going to think that's crazy. And I'm not going to think there's a stigma attached to that. I'm sure there's somebody who cleans the cupboards out at 2 o'clock in the morning. So if that's the case, I'm going to do that, because that's going to help to calm me. And that's exactly what I did. So if I couldn't do plan A, if I couldn't lay there, if it felt too powerful, I got straight out of bed and I started cleaning. And it didn't matter whether it was midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, there was me. And what actually happened was, if I got up at 2 o'clock and started cleaning, by 4 o'clock, I was tired and absolutely exhausted. So I went back to bed and went to sleep. And 2 things happened. Number 1, I was working with my anxiety. I wasn't resisting it or working against it. And number 2, the fear of sleep began to diminish, because instead of focusing on it as a real problem and a fear and, oh my God, I'm going to wake up tonight, I'm not going to be able to cope with it, I'd changed that dynamic to, okay, at the moment, I'm fearful of sleep. How can I work with it? So I can work with it in a way in which it doesn't seem that significant anymore. And when it stops being as significant, the anxiety to do with sleep passed over. Now, until I've worked out this could be applied to most situations, okay, yeah, it may have manifested somewhere else, but I'd already gained really important knowledge that I could work with that. So how can I work with this? How can I make this part of the process easier for me? And how can I take the focus off really fearing it and really being worried about it, because that's what's causing me to get more anxious. it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, because I was really anticipating bedtime. Then I'd go to bed anxious. Then I'd fall into a subconscious state anxious. I would wake up anxious, and then I would fear it all over again. And that couldn't continue because that wasn't helping. So it was almost, how can I do? What can I do with this? So it's like almost saying to you, okay, you don't have to say, I accept my anxiety. But I would urge you to see a process going on, a process to you growing and developing and becoming stronger and learning to sit with difficult feelings and become more resilient to them. And that's a really important part of the process, because each time this comes, it's giving you an opportunity to work with it. Each time you work with it, you become more sure of your ability to sit with anxiety, and you build more resilience to it. So all of this is really important. So it's looking at not, oh my God, okay, this is where I am. I can't do anything about it. I'm in this process and I need to work with it. So how can I work with it? How can I make it easier? What can I do? Can I come up with a plan A and a plan B to work with each part? No matter what I need to do, I'm going to do it. And then take the pressure away from that, take the fear out of it by approaching it in a slightly different way, and work with where you are. Now, I hope that helps. I hope you can see me. I know it's not the best. I've had quite a busy day today, so I'm having to do this a little bit later on in the day. But I hope it helps. Any comments, any questions, post underneath, and in the about section on the YouTube is my contact details and all the information you need about the It's Just a Feeling website. Take care, everyone. Stay safe, and I'll see you soon for my February blog. Thank you.